Good morning to you all. The Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Som Naidu, Dr. Sanjay Mishra, colleagues from USP, and stakeholders. Foremost, I would like to apologize for my lateness today. I was in a meeting from 9 o'clock as well, in an appointments committee meeting. And I was trying to come out, but luckily I got a call as well, so I used that to as an excuse to come out during the meeting. But thank you for the invitation, Professor Naidu, to represent the view of the university with respect to open education resources. I won't take up much of your time, but I think I would like to first of all mention some good news. We have access, as you know, to the Southern Cross cable. And that is currently the fastest in the South Pacific at about 600 megabytes per second. Right as I speak now, as we are together today, the technical development is now taking place and should be ready by next year, if not early 2019. Will change from 600 megabytes to 6 gig. That's how big it's going to be, and that's how powerful it will be. That's a reflection of the dedication of the university to our work with respect to online education or flexible learning. I think that is more than enough to convince us that the university support OER, and should be more than enough to convey the message to Professor Naidu that your team is valuable, that your unit is valuable, and with just imagine from 6 megabytes per second to maximum 6 gig per second. That's things just fly over the internet. At 9 o'clock today, I was in the meeting at the appointments committee for the ICT manager. So that's when the director of ICT, Mr. Finau, mentioned that to us, to the committee members. And so it's a good news. In fact, he told me, Jito, why don't you convey this message to those in the workshop? Because really the university wanted to ensure that we are the leaders in flexible learning, that we maintain that leadership. And with this new development, we will be there right in front and continue the leadership in flexible learning. That's one development. The other big development that I've already shared with Professor Naidu is the development of our very own cloud. You think about cloud as being a technology that is developed by outsiders like the Americans or the Europeans, Google. But do you know that we are developing our own cloud here at USP? Do you know that our very own people, our postgraduate students, masters, PhD, those in the Bachelor of Computing Science, our students in Bachelor of Computing Science and software engineering, they are involved in the development of our very own cloud computing facility, which is based at the ICT Center. It is funded by the Research Office at a tune of about 150K per year. We are now into the second year of development. We started last year with the help of some computer scientists from the United States and some from Japan. But the core developers are our very own researchers, our students, masters, PhD students, our lecturers, and we are now coming to the stage where we can actually utilize the cloud computing. And the cloud computing will have a massive amount of space, which you could use to store OER and therefore access these resources. Just next door to us, right here at Lodara campus, we will have a cloud computing facility that is fast with huge resources and space. So we don't have to go now to the United States. And the good thing about it is because we control the entire technology, we know that our resources are safe, in good hands, and we do not have to depend on outsiders to store the resources for us. It is just right there, 5 minutes walk away, or 2 minutes walk away from where we sit. The Professor of Computing Science who just joined USP late last year is now leading the development. He's actually a cloud expert as well. And I'm not sure whether you've talked to him, you've done, you can share with that. And he's very keen. What basically we are looking out for is what applications that we need for the cloud computing. Cloud computing per se is just a physical infrastructure that has computing power and computing space. The question is, what applications do we need in order to run this cloud or to use this cloud? So we are looking around the campus. We have found applications in GIS. We have found applications in supercomputing, for example, those who want to run parallel computing. After a meeting a few months, I think last month, when we had a similar OER meeting here, we can see that there is another application on the horizon. And that application on the horizon is the storage of OER and the access of OER material via our very own cloud computing. And because now that we will have the upgraded system from 600 megabytes per second to almost 6 gig, maximum 6 gig, minimum 2.5 gig, this cloud facility, the cloud will become much more handy and useful to all those who are working in this area, OER. So those are two indications of basically the university's dedication, if I may say that, dedication to this kind of work, OER, and it's pushed to ensure that our lecturers move away from the face-to-face, which is really only okay for those on campus, but not for those outside of campus, and move away from face-to-face learning, but also to develop OER material or flexible learning material. The other thing that I want to share with you is the research aspect of OER. I think at this stage of development of OER at USP, the amount of research work around it, and when I say research work, is the fundamental knowledge about OER may be not that well understood at the USP. For any lecturer like me, for example, my understanding of OER is just simply a repository which I can use to help me in my coursework or in my course. The question is that really the definition of OER? As a lecturer, if I want to use OER, my understanding now, I simply go to some repository and pull out some material which I can then use to develop my course. Now, with that maybe a definition that is not encompassing, it can basically turn off the lecturer towards the usage or understanding of OER. So the fundamental questions about OER, the research about OER, the philosophy of OER, I think is not well understood at USP. The issue is whether there is a scope for research of those questions. What is OER? what is the philosophy behind OER, and whether OER is really for the South Pacific, for the region, and how can it be, for example, how can it be implemented across the region in a cost-effective way. And I think perhaps Professor Naidu is now moving towards answering some of those fundamental research questions, yes? And which would be great if you could share with the members of the workshop, for those who are here today. The research office is much, of course, as you know, is more than willing to help out with fundamental research in OER, answering questions, fundamental questions, philosophical questions about OER, and of course the implementation of OER. And there are some projects now, for example, in your section which we are funding as well, which may later lead towards the development of OER material as well. So with those three, I guess, messages from the university, that we are now upgrading our internet system from mega, now we call it mega, 600 megabytes, to almost maximum 6 gigs. With the development of our cloud computing and with the support of fundamental research in OER, I am sure that what you're trying to get after this workshop will be achieved in a very short period of time, and that is the OER development workshop. So with those few words and message, I was going to open the workshop. Yes, yes. I now formally open the workshop, and I wish you well in your deliberations.